telling me, you know who he is? I said, Dad, I don't know. I said, Dad, you been
how you not know who Glenn Johnson is?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Respect. Come on, man. True School Sports. Say,
Thank you.
Do me a favor. Say, True School Sports.
True School Sports.
#1
Check
content.
it out. #1 content. Always check it out. That's
Thank
the
you,
boss.
There you go.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, shout out to the Teal and Purple, the Hornets. I'm rocking the Teal and Purple Hornets jacket. You know, shout out to my shitty ass basketball team that I love oh so much. But yeah, let's get into the middleweight division, man. The middleweight division, one of the most interesting divisions in boxing. And listen, for those of you who follow me on a video by video basis, you guys know that I had the chance, I had the honor, I had the privilege, and the blessing to cover the Demetrius Andrade Luke Keeler fight this past Thursday in Miami, and it was a fun event. I had a lot of fun, got a lot of great content for the channel, so if you haven't checked that out, I would implore you to go do so. But we want to talk about Boo Boo Andrade because this has been a guy that we talked about a lot on this channel, and I made my perspectives and thoughts very clear in regards to the elites of the division like Canelo and Triple G in relation to fighting him. I made my thoughts on that very clear, and that's that. Triple G and Canelo, they need to hike their skirts up and they need to fight him, but they don't want no smoke with him. They don't want no smoke. They're not interested. They're not exactly doing cartwheels at the thought of fighting this guy. They're putting on their track shoes and they're running to go fight their mandatories with no punching power, like Camilo Schmerta, like Golovkin's about to do. But with that being said, I got a comment on a video recently, and it was on my Paul Andrade interview. So if you haven't checked that interview out, go check it out now. My main man Pedro Magallanes, shout out to Pedro Magallanes. He says, Andrade ducked Derevyanchenko, so please stop this everyone is running talk. Okay, Pedro. So my man Pedro wants me to stop this everyone is running from Boo Boo Andrade talk. So we're gonna stop all that for this video, and we're gonna talk about a fight in a matchup that I've overlooked in the past, and that I even overlook to this day. But no longer will we overlook this matchup, and I'm happy he made this comment. So shout out to him, shout out to Pedro. Derevyanchenko versus Boo Boo Andrade is a fight that has to happen in 2020. It has to, and I'm gonna tell you why it needs to happen. Okay, Boo Boo Andrade, when we look at him, right, he's a world champion, but he's not, he's not really like getting that mass appeal or that mass acclaim from the boxing world, because when we look at his whole run at middleweight, it's been filled with late replacement opponents and mid-level opposition and a couple of mismatches here and there. So like, just to run through his middleweight resume, he fought Lantes Fox, Walter Kakadawa, Arthur Akavov, Sulecki, and most recently against Luke Keeler. And that doesn't necessarily scream out like world beater. Great fighter, but he is I think he's a fantastic fighter, right? But then you get a guy like Derevyanchenko who's lost a couple of fights, yes, but when we look at his last, 3, 4, 5 fights, he's beaten Terreno Johnson, Deshaun Johnson, Deshaun Johnson's a tough journeyman, but he beat Terreno Johnson, who's a decent French contender. Terreno Johnson, Deshaun Johnson, fought Daniel Jacobs to a split decision in one of the toughest fights of Jacobs' career, could have won either way. He fought Jack Colque, the guy that Boo Boo Andrade almost lost to. And he beat him in better fashion than Andrade did. And then he fought Golovkin in a fight that I thought was absolutely shambolic, and that he should have got a decision in, but that's just my opinion. But either way, regardless how you thought that fight went, he really put up a hell of a performance against Golovkin. So he does have a belt, but I would say that if this fight were to get made today, a lot of fight fans are going to look at Derevyanchenko as the favorite. His stock will be higher because of the opposition he's been fighting, and even though he doesn't have a belt, he is going to be looked at and classed as a upper echelon fighter. Maybe more of an upper echelon fighter than Boo Boo Andrade because of the resume. And that's where I think this fight has to happen, because this fight's been talked about in the past. When Boo Boo fought Lantes Fox and beat him in late 2017, that's when I remember the talks of these two fighting starting. I remember the Lantes Fox fight was a snooze fest in the court of public opinion. And, it was such a boring fight and such a snooze fest that HBO declined the option on his next fight, which was going to be against Derevyanchenko, because they had made some good advanced, they had made some great steps in negotiating the fight, but HBO didn't want to pick up the fight. At the time, Boo Boo was locked into a TV deal with HBO, even though HBO went out of business the following year. He had just signed a new deal with them, before Peter Nelson ran them straight into the ground. But this is a fight that has to happen because, you know, we look at Boo Boo Andrade, we look at his career, right? You know, we look at like some of the big fights in his career, like Vanes Mataros, and everybody always people who don't like him, his detractors always say, you know, Vanes Mataros drop him, right? And I would venture to say that if this fight got made, people are going to be thinking that Derevyanchenko is going to drop him, and he'd probably be the favorite. So because of that, this fight has to get made, because if he beats Derevyanchenko in dominant fashion, then that would change the narrative on Boo Boo Andrade, and then it would put pressure on Golovkin, who we know who is not really in a rush to fight him, because you know he's probably going to take a mandatory against Kamil Shmerta next. And listen, Kamil Shmerta has no chance in hell of beating Golovkin. I mean, none. I saw him fight on the Derevyanchenko undercard. He's got no punching power, a very amateur style, no chance whatsoever against Golovkin. But Golovkin is going to fight him because it's an easy payday. It's a very tailor-made style for him, and you know he's not going to fight Boo Boo Andrade. But when in actuality, if he really wanted the Boo Boo Andrade fight, he could just pay that man some step-aside money and go ahead and unify. But he's not trying to unify at the moment. So, you know, why wait and waste the last prime months and years of your career chasing these two dudes who haven't hiked their skirt up yet in Canelo and Triple G to fight you? Instead of doing that, he should go fight Derevyanchenko, because say what you want about Derevyanchenko, that dude ain't gonna duck no smoke with anyone. I don't care if it's Andrade, I don't care if it's Golovkin, Canelo. He is not gonna duck no smoke with anybody, nobody. His team was trying to get the fight back then. Boo Boo said he didn't want to take it because, you know, when it was offered to him, according to him, and there's interviews on this, so you don't have to take my word for it, but according to him, there was no, like, they've offered him the fight on 3 weeks notice, and he didn't think he was healthy enough to take the fight, you know, so that's his prerogative. Fighters are entitled to that. But now, you know, Derevyanchenko has proven himself to be an upper echelon fighter. You know, his stock has risen in the middleweight division, so now I think the fight is big enough and the options are scarce enough from the Andrade perspective for him to actually sign the fight. So listen, Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. Listen, I'm a huge fan. I told him that to his face. I love him as a fighter, but he's got to put his best foot forward in 2020. He's got to put his best foot forward in 2020, and I don't think he should spend any more time looking for a Golovkin fight or looking for a Canelo fight. He needs to look for this fight right here against Derevyanchenko, because I mean, even if we look at like boxing as far as the rankings go, Derevyanchenko is ranked 7th. He's ranked 7th in the WBO. And he's not getting a fight with Canelo because Canelo is looking at either fighting Ryota Murata in Japan next or Billy Joe Saunders. So Boo Boo is not even in his mind. Demetrius Andrade is not even like anywhere in his mind. Jamal Charlo, that fight's not gonna happen because, you know, you had the whole Heyman Hearn dynamic. Plus, we don't know what the offer was to Charlo, because we know when it comes to PBC fighters, you're generally gonna have to pay them a lot of money to get in the ring. So we don't know what the figures are. So I wouldn't anticipate that one happening. Murata, that could be a decent fight, but I wouldn't class it as the first one. And Golovkin's gonna fight an easy mandatory. So, oh, and then Munguia, Jaime Munguia, who's ranked #1 by the WBO, he's not gonna rush anything. He's not gonna rush anything. They're not looking for this fight at all. So the only realistic options for Demetrius Andrade, as far as I'm concerned, are Derevyanchenko, maybe even Murata, and Liam Williams. Those seem to be the only 2 or 3 guys that he could get in the ring with. And I think out of all the 3 guys, Derevyanchenko, Murata, and Liam Williams, I think Derevyanchenko was the one that would do the most for him if he won. I think Derevyanchenko is the best fighter of the bunch. And I think that's the kind of fight we need. Because listen, no matter how good I think the guy is, and listen, I think the world of the guy. Anybody who's been on this channel knows I think the world of Demetrius Andrade. I even argued at times that I believe he's the most skilled American fighter on the planet right now, as far as boxing goes. But it doesn't matter how much I believe that, how much I say it. If he doesn't get the chance to prove that against other upper echelon fighters, then he's just an upper echelon fighter pissing away his career and not fighting the career defining fights. So the Derevyanchenko fight, in my opinion, that is a career defining fight for him, because of the fact that Derevyanchenko, the performances he's had against other elite middleweights, because of the fact that there's a good amount of people in the boxing world, boxing fans, boxing media, some people on YouTube, that think he ducked that fight back in 2017. So I think it'd be a chance to really change the narrative on himself. raise his stock up, and if he beats this guy in sensational fashion, then he puts pressure on Triple G for an absolute massive fight, and then if Triple G decides not to take it, then Triple G looks bad. So this is why he should go. So I'm gonna look right at this camera. I'll send this video to somebody in this team, because I know somebody from his team. I'll send this video to somebody in this team. He needs to be looking at a Derevyanchenko fight, because that's the fight that will do a lot for his career. And it's a fight where, stylistically, if we just look at it from straight boxing perspective, you got the elusiveness and the craft of Boo Boo Andrade, long, rangy, boxer puncher, against the seek and destroy, middleweight style of Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I think it's a fight where we're not gonna get as you guys say the Andrade hitters. You guys would say the snooze fests, the stinkers. You wouldn't get that. You would get the best. I think Derevyanchenko will bring out the best in Boo Boo Andrade, and I think that Boo Boo Andrade will bring the best in Derevyanchenko. And then if Derevyanchenko beats Boo Boo Andrade, oh my God, the middleweight division has just been shaken up. So that to me is one of the most interesting fights in the division. It's one of the most necessary fights in the division, and it has to happen in 2020. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below about Boo Boo Andrade versus Sergiy Derevyanchenko. And I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna talk Canelo GGG no more, because I've beaten that to death like a horse. We're gonna talk about this fight until it happens. So we're gonna keep putting videos out there about this fight until it happens. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.
Showtime, Sean Porter. It's Aerosmith Dre. Everyone, this is Jesse Vargas. You're watching True School Sports. You're watching True School Sports. All right. And you're watching True School Sports. Stay tuned.